Yes, yes, people. How's everybody doing? What a beautiful day. Lovely weather. 30 degrees today. Hope you guys can get out there. I know many of us will be working or whatever what we're doing, but look, get home, get in the garden, get the sunshine, go down the park or whatever you can do. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful weather. It brings in good mood, doesn't it, when the weather's like this, eh? And yeah, some great news yesterday with here we go for Kudos. So look, I'm back here now with the Tottenham's forward line breakdown, looking at players that I feel we must keep, needs work, and we sell. Going to break all the forward line down. And guys, yeah, please give us your comments on any of these players. If you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, yeah, just give us your opinions. That'll be great. Please like the video. Please subscribe if you haven't. So now let's start off with Dominic Solanke. Now, Dominic Solanke first signing last season. I mean, yeah, came with a lot of money, £60 million. Premier League, 27 games, 9 goals, 3 assists. Europa League, 5 goals, 4 assists. Fantastic stats for a forward who scored more goals the previous season. But look, and Ange's forward line last season, kind of the goals are spread across the team, weren't they? I think Solanke dropped back a lot. I think we didn't really kind of play to his strengths. He needs to be in that box, we need to be pinging crosses into him, headers. He needs to be getting around the box. I don't think he's that clinical. He's not going to get that clutch goal. But what Solanke does do, he works hard, he presses. It's like, yeah, he's a good player, not an amazing player, but I think he is a must keep because we ain't got anyone else. I don't think we're going to go and sign 2 forwards in that forward line. So, look, and I think Frank can get more out of him. Definitely do. I think if we can really target him in that box, and hopefully we'll get more goals out of him next season. Going on now to let's have a look at Brendan Johnson. So Brendan Johnson scored a lot of goals. He was our top goal scorer last season. Scored that fantastic, obviously it's questionable if it did come off him, but he got us the winner. I mean, a player that he scores goals, doesn't he? Doesn't offer a lot else throughout the game, but he's in the right place at the right time. Scores a goal. I mean, I don't particularly rate him as a technical player, but you can't argue his goals, can you? He's got something to offer us, and he produced. And if he can keep going, Frank wanted him before he came to Spurs at Brentford, so I definitely think he's a player that is worth keeping. And I would probably put him under. Needs work. He needs work. I do. But again, he did get the output. So I think it's a player that people either love or hate. He's still quite young, 24 years old. What did I say? He scored 11 goals in the Premier League, 3 assists, and in the Europa League scored 5 goals, 1 assist. I just think he needs to be kind of in and around the box, playing off a striker. He's not a winger; he can't take on the man. And then he doesn't have to play every game. He could come off the bench. When legs are tired. He's got something to offer in the squad. But would I replace him? And look, this is Tottenham, right? He's invested a bit of money in him. He's not going anywhere. So you've got to when we're kind of judging and talking about players, you might not particularly like him, but you've got to be kind of understanding the situation. And I think Brendan Johnson, see if we can get see what he does next season. If we can get more goals from him, Frank can get more out of him. We'll have to hope so. Let's move on to Son now. A lot of talk around Son leaving. Wins the Europa League, fantastic for him, being at the club so long, lifting that trophy, wonderful, wonderful time. Teams, good teams, they move on, good players, don't they? They know when the right time is to sell them. Some people said Son should have been moved on a couple of seasons ago. I don't know. I don't think he's the same player as old. He hasn't got the pace anymore. I still think he can finish 100%. He can still finish. But I would sell him. But what I'm kind of hearing, I think his Son's going to be here. I think he's going to lead us out in that Champions League next season. One final go, that's it. And I mean, he's not a winger. He needs to play in around another one. He needs to play in around the striker, inside forward. And he's still got his finishing ability. Of course, he has. I think Frank will probably get more out of him again, like many of these players in this squad. But I would sell. Guys, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions on that. What would you do with Son? Do you think, would you prefer to keep him or sell him? Obviously, we need to have a buyer as well. He's the captain, isn't he? He's the club captain. It's so difficult. Son's much loved from the fans. But like as I said, big clubs, they know when to move on players at the right time. He scored 7 goals in the Premier League, 9 assists. Weren't too bad, even though I didn't think he played particularly well last season. Three goals in the Europa League, 1 assist as well. Let's move on to let's fly through this now. Let's move on to Matthias Tell, player we signed on a permanent deal. I weren't too happy about it. I don't think he's that great, but again, another player with potential. Frank, you have to hope that Frank can turn him into a better player in a couple of years' time. You got to admire his enthusiasm, his hard work. He's not a winger. He's kind of more like an inside forward, I would say. I hope there's more to come. I hope I'm wrong about Tell. But, we paid quite a lot of money for him. I'm sure there was a better player out there who we could have brought in who was going to make a more of an instant impact. But again, Frank could make him into a better player. He's got to be playing closer to goal. We'll see what he does next season. Guys, obviously we just signed him. So, he's here. So he's not even going to fall into any of those categories other than needs work. Next player we're going to talk about is Wilson Odeberg, who suffered a lot of injuries last season. Young player coming from Burnley. He only played 16 Premier League games, 1 goal. And he played in the Europa League, scored a couple of goals. Look, young player. He can take on his man. He likes to run at players. Again, young, needs work. I wouldn't say he's a first team starter. He needs developing. He needs games. See what Frank can do with him. I'd much prefer these type of players who have the ability to take on a player, take a risk, and he does that. He has some pace. Somebody I think with a lot of potential. Just different player to Tell. A bit more direct. As I said, like to take on a man, trickery around the box. Let's see what Frank does with him. Guys, what do you think of Wilson? Do you think he's going to get better next season under Frank? Please give us your thoughts. Who are we going to talk about next? Let's talk about young Mikey Moore now. Played 10 Premier League games, 5 Europa League games. He scored 1 goal in the Europa League, 1 assist, and he's got 1 assist in the Premier League. A player was so highly rated at the club, isn't he? And, he's young. There's so much more to come from him. Now the question is with Mikey Moore, is he going to be part of the first team squad? Is he going to be loaned out for his development? I think he probably needs a loan. We've got a lot of forward players there; they can't all play. But again, Frank might include him into in the first team, might give him games. A player that with so much potential, and the decisions around what we do with him is so crucial. We saw Harry Kane go out on loan a number of times. A number of youth players go out on loan. It is more this season to go out on loan, get more consistent game, playing in, week out in the Premier League, lower end team, or in the Championship. Guys, give us your thoughts on Mikey Moore. What do you think is going to happen with him? Do you think Frank's going to keep him around? Do you think he's going to need a loan? I don't know, guys. It's a real tricky one because you want to see your youth academy players playing the team. And look, it's going to be a tough season next year, playing in the Champions League, all the competitions. We'll see what Frank, kind of the team, the recruitment team or development team, what they're thinking with Moore. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him. I mean, either way, he needs work, of course, but he's a must keep, 100%. Let me talk about now another attacking player we have, Yang. Guys, another young player went out on loan on QPR, did okay. Back here, does he need another loan? I think he does. Another player for the potential, for the future. He's not going anywhere. For me, it needs work, a decision. And if he needs a loan, he probably does need another loan. I don't think he's going to get a lot of game time in the team. I don't know about him really, to be honest. In the Championship, played 14 games, scored 2 goals, 1 assist. Coming into the English league, it's going to take time for him to adjust, learn the language. Look, there's again another player with a lot of potential and we know a lot of hope for. So probably another loan I would thought for him. Definitely, I think so. Then let's talk about Richarlison, a player that never really got going at Spurs. I mean, last season he only played 15 Premier League games, injured a lot of it, scored 4 goals, 1 assist, played in the Europa League, 1 goal, 1 assist. For me, he just needs to be moved on now. We need to sell him. He's very injury prone. I don't. I just don't think there's any point keeping him. He can't stay fit. We need to go out and upgrade him 100% with another striker, a better striker, somebody who's going to be more consistent, maybe a more nimble striker, a striker who can it's clinical in the box, get a shot off quickly, skillful, reliable. I think we're best off Selvic and bringing another forward. There's talks obviously yesterday about Wizard coming in. Definitely, I definitely think that is an upgrade. So I hope Richarlison gets moved on. But he's going to be one of those players, isn't he? Like, he's going to be hard to move on. But 100%, we need to move him on from the squad. And yeah, it's not really worked out for him, has it? So Solomon's come back in now. I mean, great season at Leeds. A lot of goals and assists. I'll just try and get his stats up for you guys in a minute. Let me try and find it. Where is it now? I can just find it here. Look, I think he needs to be sold. I just think, yes, he did well in the Championship, but Premier League's a completely different level. As I said, I want our forward line to be upgraded. I want more better players, and I think Solomon's a place that we can get a fee for because he did well in the Championship. So some teams will want to buy him. I've heard that and we've all read that he wants to fight for his place under Frank. Frank will have a look at him in the next couple of weeks. Again, guys, I think it's a sell. Move him on, get somebody else better in. What do you think about Solomon? Really, tell us, give us your thoughts on him. Just want to make sure I've covered all those forward players. Obviously, the fantastic news about Kudos is very close now. Do you think, what do you think of the signing, guys? I know I did a video last night. It's a medical today. Hopefully, it'll get confirmed today or tomorrow. Big signing for Spurs, a player that we need direct. So different to any of those four players I talked about. Wilson's probably the only kind of similar player could take on a man, but a lot younger. I just want to make sure I've covered all those forward players. There's quite a lot here. Let's have a look. I don't want to miss out any. I've just kind of lost now my squad builder. Let's have a look. Tottenham stats. I've lost him now. I don't know where they've gone. I think I've covered all the forward players. Let me have a look. So we're talking about Solanke, Johnson, Yang, Moore, Wilson, Tell, Son, Johnson. I think I've covered them. Look, this forward line. I mean, it's fantastic if we're getting in Kudos. Definitely a player we need. Now, I would really want Spurs to go out and push for another top player in that forward line, another top player striker, somebody else who's going to give us instant impact into the team this summer. Guys, give us your thoughts on that. Do you feel that Spurs will do it? And my concern in my video yesterday is that we've made this very close to making this marquee signing. Is that it now? We're going to bring any more marquee signings in. We're going to get in another £50 million player. This will be very good. We've not seen Spurs do that before. Spend like 55 million and then another 50 million or 40 million on another player. That will be a change to Spurs. That will be a change doing two of them in one window. We all have to hope that they are looking at somebody, and I think in the midfield is, as I said, is a crucial area that there's something missing in there. In that aspect, in that kind of in a defensive way or more of a kind of tempo setter, experience, somebody, a leader in that midfield who can improve those around us. But going back to that forward line, let's hope that we do get something else in, but we need to shift a couple out. Looking at, the obvious ones there are Richarlison and Solomon are the obvious ones. A couple of those forward players will be loaned out, so there'll be some more space in the squad. Guys, who else could we bring in that forward line? Wizard linked yesterday, as I said. I don't know how much Brentford are going to want for him. I think he's about 28, 29. So Spurs don't want to play, above 40 million for him. So we'll have to see, guys. We'll have to see. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Please leave your comments on all the players I discussed. Anything you agree, don't agree with. And obviously like the video. If you haven't subbed, please do. And as always, come on, you Spurs.